Again, our next speaker is the man who needs no shoes, James Petersen.
That's good, sir.
That looks good. That looks good. Thank you.
So traditional, meaning classic. You got it.
I came to my first live storytelling session about a year and a half ago, and I listened to a man tell a story about love and loss in Jerusalem. And he used two words that I had never heard before, bashert, it was meant to be, and dayanu, which is, if God did only this, it would be enough. I lived with those words for a year, and I knew that someday I would come and tell a story, this story. In college, I invented a dating strategy that I called the static quest. It was based on advice I had learned in Boy Scouts. That if you are lost in the woods, you should stay in one place, not go wandering around, because if you're wandering around and the search party is wandering around, there's no reason your path will ever cross. But if you stay in one place, eventually their search will reach your point of rest. Go ahead and laugh. It worked. One day, my friend said, "Jim, come down to my room. I've got someone you have to meet." And I went down to his room, and it was pitch black. No light, and I felt my way through and sat down on the cushions, and a conversation started with a woman's voice. It was funny, tender, challenging. She had a chuckle I want on an alarm clock. And my friend said, "Tell her about the static quest." So I did. And she said, "You know, there's a flaw in that. One, you assume that there will be a search party, and there's no time limit. Yes, they will eventually find you, but you might be a corpse by that time." So this went on, and then my friend said, "Jim thinks he's a superhero. He actually wears a t-shirt under his blue work shirt that has an eye silk-screened on it." And she said, "I've got to see this." And he turned on the light. And it was true. I did. I was sight or, and she laughed, and I was looking all 5 eyes at one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen. And she was my best friend's girlfriend. Something happened in that dark room. We connected. We were kindred spirits. And for most of the rest of the year, when she would come down, if my friend was in class, she would hang out in my room. We would talk. We would go to movies, plays. We saw Janis Joplin at Newport together. And then she disappeared. And one day my friend said, "Oh yeah, we broke up a couple months ago." And I said, and I didn't know. Spring break came around. Someone said, "Come on down. My parents have a place in Acapulco." And so I got on a bus, arrived in Mexico City, stashed my luggage, and went around the city walking. And time came to go back and catch the bus. There was like about a 4-hour layover. And I had my ticket in a folder, so I would go up to people on the street and give the universal sign for helpless idiot. "Where is this?" And they'd go. I'd go next block, and they would go. And they were playing shuttlecock with the gringo. And I saw a girl by a church leaning against a fence, young, barely a teenager, blue cotton dress, holding a Bible. And I went up to her, and I showed her the ticket. She smiled, grabbed my hand. We started walking down the street. She was talking a mile a minute Spanish, and I don't speak a word of that language. She's chatting. We get to the bus station, She walks in with me, we retrieve my luggage, and there's a cafe, and I think maybe I should like buy her a Coke. So I sit down to buy her a Coke. And it felt like I was in a movie, and I realized I had the opportunity to practice the conversation I wish I had had with my best friend's now ex-girlfriend. So I did. I told her what it had been like to meet her, to see her, to talk to her, to share all this time, and how this kindred spirit friendship, I was willing to risk that friendship for the other thing, love. The girl was attentive, and when I had finished speaking, she took the cross that she had made out of folded palm fronds and gave it to me. A red light flashed. It was time to get on the bus. I got on the bus. She got on the bus, and she came and leaned over the chair in front of me, the seat in front of me, and said, "I understand English perfectly." And then she left. She was the first girl on the planet who understood me. When I got back to the States, I didn't leave the country again for 10 years, but eventually I reconnected with my best friend's ex-girlfriend, and I told her this story, and I had the conversation that I had practiced in Mexico City with her. And I have had that conversation with her every fucking decade for 50 years. And that defines for me the word Dayenu. If that's the only thing that happened, it was enough.